there is so much to talk about this month. The P.S. I Still Love You movie, Birds of Prey, Survivor Winners at War, not to mention the books I read. Before we get into the juicy movie and TV stuff, the first book I'm going to talk about is our Book Explosion Book of the Month for January. We are working with Sourcebooks this month, and that is Reverie by Ryan LaSala. In Reverie, we follow a gay high school student named Kane who was just in a huge accident that could have killed him but didn't. He doesn't know how he survived, and he can't remember any of the circumstances that led up to this incident. And this is one of those books that's kind of hard to really explain anything to you because part of the journey is finding what it's about. Because our main character doesn't remember anything. And as we get further and further into the book, we're learning that like he doesn't remember a lot of his life. He doesn't even remember his friends that were also involved in this accident with him. The story is Inception meets The Magician. The tagline here is some dreams chase you back. And what Kane doesn't know is that he's a part of this group of people that can go in and out of people's dreams, that can go in and out of reveries, dreamscapes. It's one of those books that you go into and you have to figure it out as you go along. My favorite thing about Reverie was the characters. I feel like they're so strong. I really love the main police detective we're working with, Posey. I love Dean. I loved everything with Kane and Ursula. Some of the magic was a little confusing, but it just had a really heartwarming cast that helped to ground you in the story even when the magic system was kind of hard to take in. If any of that appeals to you, definitely check out Reverie. I will leave a link in the description below.
Off the hook, but the phone never rang. Beast on the beats, no claws, no fat.
Let's talk about Birds of Prey, a movie that I have been iffy about since the very beginning. Like, I want to be excited, but it's a DC film, right? I have the lowest expectations ever, and it was so much fun. I remember when I heard the title Birds of Prey for the first time and I was like, what the fork is Birds of Prey? I had no idea. It doesn't have that recognition that something like the Avengers has or something even like Suicide Squad. I can see where they're having a branding issue. When the news came out that they had made like the lowest amount a DC movie ever has at the box office in the first weekend, I was so upset because of all the DC movies that they've made so far. We have the standout of Wonder Woman, but Wonder Woman, they really blew up the end. But then we had Shazam, which was all around amazing. That's the best thing I think they've ever done. And then Birds of Prey is right up there. Right up there with Shazam. They're two very different movies. Shazam is very grounded. Birds of Prey is very cartoonish, comic booky. It embraces the crazy. It embraces the outlandish. And we just run with it. And it's fun and it's over the top and it's done so well. The fight scenes are amazing. The colors are amazing. The way it's shot so well. I love the characters. I love the dynamics. I just felt so empowered at the end when they were all working together. I loved it so much, and I'm so mad that no one's going to see it because no one knows it exists. No one knows what it is. No one has confidence in it because honestly, the marketing made it look like it wasn't going to be good. They've changed the title now because it was called Birds of Prey and the Fabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. I didn't even know it had that tag at the end with Harley Quinn's name in it. Harley Quinn is the name that we would recognize if it was in the title. It should have been at the forefront of it. I love this movie. I want there to be a sequel. The villain was so good. He was so terrible in the most fun way. Even Harley Quinn's voiceover in the trailer, it made me nervous because it felt like the movie's not going to be good, but they do it so well. It's organized chaos in the most beautiful way. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Birds of Prey gets an A from me. Go see it if you haven't seen it yet. If you've been on the fence, if you didn't know it existed, it's great. The next book that I read this month is the sequel to Skyward, Starsight. I do not have the physical copy yet because I did the audiobook. The audiobooks for this series are really, really good. Starsight, I didn't like it as much as Skyward, but I did really enjoy it. It provided this thought-provoking, fascinating new perspective on humanity that I really enjoyed. I've seen other movies and other things try to dive into this perspective on humanity, but none of them really got through to me in the way that this book did. There are so many alien species in this book. We go off planet disguised as a different race from a different planet, and you see humans through the eyes of all these different species. It's fascinating to just openly hear their point of view on just like basic human things that we do, and really made me think. And you know, I love a book that makes me think. Starsight is a Ravenclaw book, where Skyward felt like a Gryffindor book. I can't wait for the third one, because for most of this we weren't with our crew. That's why I didn't like it as much as Skyward. Skyward, we have our squad, and Starsight, we're separated from our squad and we're meeting all these new people, and it's really well done. I'd give it an A- just because like my personal enjoyment was less. I still think it was very, very well written, and I'm so looking forward to the next one. Okay, let's talk about P.S. I Still Love You. I have a bit of a controversial opinion. I don't know if it's controversial. It feels controversial, but we'll see what you think. I love P.S. I Still Love You. I have a book talk about it. I love John Ambrose McLaren, and I was very excited that Jordan Fisher was playing him because I love him. Got to know him by watching Dancing with the Stars on his season, and he was adorable and wonderful. This is John Ambrose McLaren's book. Peter. Sorry, I keep cursing. It was beautifully shot. I love the pacing. I love the heartfeltness of this story. I love everything. But I was so mad for John Ambrose. I'm very upset about how much they differed from the book. I am usually there to defend the decisions of the screenwriters. They have to cut some stuff out. But like, this film was so clearly Team Peter. They changed the letter. They changed her letter, which was so much more embarrassing in the book. And so I don't even remember what happened. I just know it wasn't that stupid Halloween thing. Like, they just redid the Mean Girls joke about Halloween. We've seen Mean Girls 100,000 times. Could you just do any other joke if you're gonna rewrite it? I don't get why we did Halloween not being cool. And like, when you're 12, it's not really not cool yet to dress up until like you're in high school, and then it gets uncool, and then it gets cool again to be dressed up. I didn't buy it at all. All I remember from the book letter was that it had something to do with the rain, them being out in the rain at gym or something. I loved Jordan Fisher's John Ambrose McLaren, and like, we didn't even get his day in the sun. I didn't like the party was different. The party was 70s in the movie, and it was a 40s party in the book. Why couldn't we do a 40s party? That was the fanciest old people's home I've ever seen in my life. What even is Bellevue? I never pictured it like that. Why was it so beautiful? It was so pretty. Why did Lara Jean get dressed up for the dance? It was a big thing. She went with John, and then she just got back together with Peter. He was just there, and it was just over. And it was just like, hello? What about John Ambrose McLaren? I felt so sad for him. They also cut out a lot of the annoying stuff that Peter was doing in the book. He was talking to Jen way more than we saw in the movie. It was just way more warranted that they needed a break. I don't know, was not happy with the changes. And I think they made them because Noah is such a fan favorite. Like, everyone loves Noah and Lara Jean. But like, we could love John Ambrose McLaren if you gave him a second to shine. You know what also bothered me? The scene in the snow. And I get, like, it was cute. She talked about the snow globe and the snow. She doesn't like to drive home in the snow, and like, all that came together very nicely. But that scene in the snow bothered me so much because she was wearing a dress out in the snow, and she wasn't even pretending to be cold at all. They were out there for more than a second. She would have gone out there a second and been like, it's freezing, and then never would have laid down in the snow and made snow angels for an extensive period of time without being freezing at all. She's just laying there. She's like, are you cold? And he's like, yeah. And then they got up. I loved Stormy. I love everything with her dad. Not enough Kitty in this movie. I love her in the first opening scene when she's like, have you even showered? But then she kind of disappears. She was supposed to help Lara Jean get ready for her big 40s dance. I feel like they did dirty to John Ambrose McLaren. We didn't even really like play with the idea. He was just there as kind of a side piece, as like the drama. You probably are all in love with Peter Kavinsky. It did have an amazing soundtrack. All the songs, I don't know how many times I've listened to Moral of the Story since I've watched this. A lot. I've been listening to it while I write over and over and over again, so it's been a fun time. I'm gonna give the movie a B+. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this subject. Please, let's talk about it. Are you as angry as I am? I watched The Witcher! Okay, I really didn't have much interest in The Witcher, but my boyfriend loves The Witcher, and he loved the series, and he really wanted me to watch it. The first episode was all over the place. I kept almost falling asleep. The young girl who's running from her kingdom throughout the whole series had like no story. It was a wonky first season, but I ended up really liking, like, I'm very attached to it now, and I really want more Witcher. But the first season, and I know that it was based off of the short stories from The Witcher, and that's why it felt kind of episodic almost, but it had a few overarching storylines running through it. Yennefer is why I'm there. The people who made this show did such a good job with the witches. I kept seeing scenes from the Throne of Glass series while I was watching this. And I was like, they could do such a good job with the Throne of Glass witch storyline. I hope that they're as good as this. They could be better. Everything could always be better. But like, I think they really captured the essence of these witches and the way they work. I love Henry Cavill in this role. I'm not a big Henry Cavill fan. But like this role, Henry Cavill disappeared and it was just Geralt. And I love it. Like, this is his role, man. This is what he was meant to do, and he is killing it. I'm very excited for the next season. I really enjoyed the final few episodes. I really enjoyed the episode where Geralt and Yennefer meet. I enjoyed the episode with the dragon. I love the bard. I love the bard and Geralt together. I love how wild and weird some of this stuff is. Like, what is it again? The rule of surprise. Like, it's such a weird thing, but I love it. I love how it becomes a running joke. Because when you first hear about it, you're like, well, what are you talking about? The one storyline that was so wonky and weird for me was the girl who's on the run. Her story was just nothing. We were just following her as she ran around and nothing really happened. It was so every time we cut to her, I was like, what is even this? Why? And John kept telling me she's an important character in the future, but that doesn't change the fact that right now you're doing like shit with her. Super mild spoiler for The Witcher coming right here. If you haven't watched yet and you don't want to hear it, just skip to this timestamp. They were doing this weird dual timeline thing where half of this took place in the past and half of this takes place in the future. And then the timelines meet up at the end. But it was done so poorly that I didn't even realize that they were doing it. I was just confused, like, isn't that guy dead? You need some tell to let you know what is in the past and what's in the future with this type of storytelling, especially with the fantasy elements. Like, there's so much other stuff going on that you're trying to track and trying to, like, remember these rules in so many kingdoms. To also have to be like, oh, wait, is this the past version or the future version of this person? Just like a filter. Just like a filter to make it warmer or colder, like they did in 13 Reasons Why. Like anything like that you could start to catch on and be like, this is the past, this is the future. Here you're just like, okay, so you don't have to tell me like 10 years earlier, but just a visual cue in some way, shape, or form would have been nice, because it didn't add anything to the story. It wasn't this big plot twist like, oh, we've been seeing the past. It was like, you didn't do that well. That was weird. So I'm gonna give The Witcher in general, the first season, a B-. There was really strong elements of it. There was so much that bothered me. The editing is wonky. They have random shots where it's just like, let's do this canted angle. I think they're feeling themselves out. They're finding their footing, and I think it's going to get much better next season. I am still like solidly want to watch it, and I'm sucked it. Like, they got me, but the first few episodes were rough in some areas, and the editing is just like, I think they need a new editor. I think that's part of the reason why the time thing didn't work. The editing was not the best, but very promising. I'm very excited for more, so take what you will from that. Sex Education Season 2 came out this past month. I was so excited for it. If you haven't watched Season 1, it is like my favorite show on Netflix. The characters are so lovable and wonderful, and it's so well done. The second season wasn't as much fun as the first season because we have the fallout from the first season. You're rooting for your OTP, but they have to build their way back together again, and that was frustrating for me, but it was still so good. I'm gonna give this season an A. I think I gave last season an A+. Miss Americana! Oh my god, the Taylor Swift documentary! What can I say? I had a giant smile on my face the whole time throughout this entire documentary because I love Taylor so much. And it just confirms everything that I already knew about Taylor Swift, but it's nice to have it to show people who don't understand her. And it was really nice to see her with her mom and hear from different people in her life. The documentary ended though, and I was like, why is it already over? I honestly was like, that's it? That's it? I feel like we needed another hour in this documentary. I feel like it needed to be like a 3-episode thing. It could have been bigger and more expansive coverage of what she's gone through. I really enjoyed it, and it was lovely and wonderful, but it felt short. I was like, I was so excited and it's already over. So I'm gonna give it an A-. This month I saw Bad Boys for Life with Will Smith and the guy who plays Marcus. They have just such great chemistry together. I don't know if you guys watched Bad Boys 1 and 2 when you were younger, but Olivia and I, those were 2 of our favorite movies, and we watched them over and over again. It has that ridiculous action-y feeling that you get when you watch Fast and the Furious, but it's a buddy cop movie and they have such great chemistry. They're so much fun to watch. I had a blast, honestly. It's a very loud movie. I'm gonna give it an A-. I watched Good Girls Season 2 this month. I was like unpacking in the background and stuff on Netflix. I think the 3 female leads are great and it's fun to have in the background, but it's a little hokey. I've said this before, but it's like the plot of Breaking Bad not taking itself seriously at all and not filmed with the same care and craftsmanship, and the dialogue's not as great. It's Breaking Bad for network television. It would have been really cool if a cable channel did this and it was more meticulously made and the cinematography was cool and the dialogue was a little less standard. I'm gonna give season 2 a B-. I watched Last Christmas finally. We watched this on Valentine's Day and I thought this was gonna be a rom-com. It went in a direction that I was just completely not expecting at all, and I wasn't really satisfied with the direction it ended up going in. Halfway through it was like, what? It just didn't feel like the story matched the tone of what the trailers were. I'm gonna give that a B-. I wanted it to be something that it wasn't. We have to talk about season 40 of Survivor. I don't know if I've ever been more excited for anything on reality. I haven't. You know, if you've been here for a while, that Survivor is one of my favorite shows of all time. I've seen almost every season. If you don't know, we are in an all victors season of Survivor. Every one of the 20 castaways that are there has won Survivor. It is the 75th Hunger Games of Survivor. The first 2 episodes have been phenomenal. It's on another level. Like when you're watching the challenges, it's like everyone is good. There's no one that's holding anyone down. You know, and it's just like Sandra is there, Rob is there, Poverty is there, Tyson is there, Tony is there, Amber is there, Rob and Amber are there, Natalie's there, Jeremy's there, Ethan's there. Like all of these Survivor icons are there in one place, and it's been 20 years. So like these people have gotten to know each other through like the Survivor community, and some people haven't gotten to know each other, and it's like there's so many different relationships. It's blood versus water on a whole new level. I am just like looking forward to every episode so hard. I never listen to Survivor podcasts. I'm listening to Survivor podcasts. If you've watched Survivor ever, this is the time to come back in and watch Survivor. And they have like a whole special that I didn't watch beforehand where you can like reacquaint yourselves with all the winners that are on this season. A+++++. There's only been 2 episodes thus far, but it's been amazing. Those 2 episodes have been so exciting. I finally binged season 4 of The Good Place this month. The Good Place is one of those shows that is made to be binged. I have tried watching it week to week, and I've also binged seasons, and the emotional beats hit you so much harder if you watch it together. There's a lot of like running jokes and running plot lines that come back around and are very cleverly woven in. You miss that week to week. It's weird and quirky, and it takes a little bit of time to let it sink in. I loved the series finale. I highly, highly recommend it. Season 4 gets an A+. Like every season, it's so endlessly brilliant. Those are all the stories that I ate this month. I'd love to hear your thoughts on P.S. I Still Love You, on anything I talked about, but just to remind you, P.S. I Still Love You, The Witcher, Birds of Prey, Skyward Reverie, like please let's discuss, okay? I'm serious. Please share your thoughts. I want to hear them when you comment. Like I'm there reading those comments. Let's talk. I'm Christine. If you want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, I'm at XTeenMay. I make videos every week. I am an author. My book is called Again But Better. The link is in the description below. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye!